Perfect. Thank you, Pete and Gina, and thanks, Leandro Martinez, once again for joining us today. So far, we've heard a lot from various speakers around data and AI and its growing influence on our personal and professional lives. So can you share a little bit about your background and drawing from your experience, talk a little bit about how you see data and AI shaping organizational strategy and what key roles it really plays in driving business decisions and innovation? Martine, let's start with you.
Okay. So first of all, thanks for having me here. It's a real pleasure for me to share space with Leandro and yourself and to hear about other great colleagues in the industry. So as for my background, I come from hard computer science, so always related to technology. And I guess that the journey started on-prem, right? And the view on how data can bring value to the businesses started there. Of course, it evolved significantly within the introduction of cloud services, right? Because I believe that was real an inflection point when we started to really having availability of certain services for everyone, everywhere, across the globe. I believe that's when really things started to accelerate significantly, right? As for what is key, based on my experience, my journey and the companies that I've been part of, aligning that data strategy with clear business goals is paramount. And while this might sound a little bit obvious, you would be surprised how many times you find that there is a real disconnection between both things, right? Between both worlds. Why are we generating these files this way? Why real time as opposed to defer ingestion of data, right? I mean, decisions needs to be made with a clear vision on how that will drive and improve for the end business, how you will win a competitive strategy around your competitors, or how you will improve your time to market, your product, how that will improve something within the environment that you are operating in. And from my experience, that is not always there, right? So starting with the basics is what I could advise. That's my point of view, Josie.
Awesome, thank you. Leandro, it's your stage now.
Okay, thank you very much, Josie and the Globant team for inviting me here. I have a long journey working with analytics. Back at the beginning, we have to explain why analytics was necessary or was something that your company has to do, why your hunches and your obvious knowledge of the business was not enough, or and how analytics could, or doing analytics on data could help you to be even more effective. So it's a long journey. Now it seems like it's pretty clear for everyone why we need to analyze the information. And building on what Martin was saying, I think that most companies need to start for the most obvious business problems, the problems that they believe that they are more valuable. And in the moment that they start to mature, to think about a framework where you could assign the right amount of resources to every business problem based on the potential business value of that problem. What I mean with that, I mean, there are things that we know they are very valuable. I mean, we know that if we prevent customer churn in any company, it will be something very profitable because it takes, I don't know, 3 or 5x the cost to bring a new customer than to keep doing revenue with the same one. So churn is a very obvious problem. Fraud is a very obvious problem also. So this may be the first problems that we tackle, depending on the industry, right? So, but there are new business problems that we are just starting to analyze that we are not sure about the value of this business. We don't know if this is going to really drive a strong impact in the bottom line. So, but our framework should be able to have some space for these initial projects, assigning the right amount of resources, and then this idea of graduating them once they prove the value, right? Probably we will develop this idea more in our conversation, right? But start with something that is really automatic, even though if it's not extremely precise, but it can bring you 50, 60, 70% of accuracy. And then when you prove the business value of that, then we can devote some scarce resources like data scientists to work in that model and create something even better. So that would be my advice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I think, we discussed how, Martin, from your perspective, really aligning business goals, business strategy to the data strategy. And Leandro, your point about making sure we tackle business problems that are the most obvious. Going from that and now really diving specifically into your domains, which is the cloud, what do you see as the most common challenges that organizations have when they're developing their data and AI strategy specifically within the cloud and for the cloud? Leandro, we'll go with you first this time.
Okay. Thanks for the clue. So I think that the cloud has some very obvious advantages and some ideas that needs to be solved, let's say, or some challenge that needs to be solved. So regarding the most one of the most obvious values that we have is number one, we have almost every single algorithm or analytics tools that you want immediately available, because you don't need to install, you don't need to provide infrastructure. It's something that you choose the tool that you want to use, and you can start using it right away. So that's a huge advantage compared with the traditional on-premise. And also you have all the benefits of the elasticity, right? When you need more resources to analyze either more resource intensive algorithm or more data, you have them and then you drop them. So that's the when I see what I see as the most beneficial, right? And then regarding the challenges, I think there's still some issues with trust. Some customers don't feel comfortable, especially regulated industries, but it happens also with other industries. They don't feel comfortable moving sensitive data to the cloud. And the thing with that is that I think that all the well-known hyperscalers have extremely secure procedures and certifications in all the informations in all the data center and all the products that they implement. So what I see a real threat is that the customer needs to be aware on how to use these security tools, right? Most companies starts working with a zero trust approach. So everything is blocked unless you unblocked it. So which is the right approach for customers that don't have that many experience working with the cloud. So I would say that solving this trust issue is one of the main problems. And the second problem that I see is an issue of compatibility, right? We need to make sure that that all the tools that we include in our portfolio, they have some adherence to standards. So sharing information between tools and different data sets is something that you can do without becoming a nightmare of data transformation, right? So it's something that can be manageable. So this is the pros and cons that I see quickly summarized.
Amazing. Thank you. Martin, what about your opinion? What do you think are the challenges?
So plus one to everything that Leandro said. So that is of course I adhere to every point he mentioned. Just to not repeat points, I should say that scarcity sometimes is a bless, right? I mean, when you don't have unlimited resources, sometimes you play your cards in a wiser way. So something that the cloud brought to the table is unlimited resources out there. So that could be a bless, or could be your worst nightmare if you don't do a proper job managing your costs. So I should say that for customers that are taking their first steps into the cloud, managing costs certainly is something. So establishing a good FinOps strategy, making sure that you understand how you measure the cost, because a solution might be functional in terms of achieving the goal that you wanted to achieve, but the cost might take it out of the picture right away, right? And if you don't choose the proper elements to do it in an effective way, that could be your worst nightmare. So I would put managing cost like the number one. So integration into existing systems, right? Especially when you have those hybrid type of layouts where you still have a deep dependence to go back on-prem for whatever reason, any core system that is still there, and you need to extrapolate information out from on-prem. That is certainly a challenge. You have certain industries where that is deeper, and the adoption or lack of adoption of cloud services is certainly related to that, and to the fear or the lack of trust in some spaces, or regulatory type of situations that are still there, right? I mean, there is a lot of regulation that needs to be urgently updated, in my opinion, to really get the value that you could get out from the cloud. And to make it a third, just to drop a number behind, because we could be speaking about this all day, if you want, skill gaps, right? I mean, the skill gap, the organizational skill gap, is certainly a top priority to address, and generative AI is a very good example on how fast and furious things can change from night to dawn, right? I mean, 3 years ago, nobody, unless you were a specialist on the area, was speaking about language models. Now, if you are not speaking about language models, you are out of the market, right? So pretty much. So that is an example on how technology grows exponentially, and the ability of organizations to absorb that technology is logarithmic, right? So you have like this deviation that creates that knowledge gap, and it gets wider and wider, and I believe that will keep on happening. In fact, as it was mentioned on the previous talk, I mean, strategies are no longer being discussed in years, right? I mean, if you are drawing your strategy within 1 year now, I mean, that seems reasonable. While you were speaking about 3, 4, 5 year roadmap before. I mean, now it's very hard to predict what will come next, because it's moving really fast. So keeping up with skills is paramount, in my opinion. But the good news is there is no better moment in time to learn technology, right? I mean, with the tools and the capabilities that you have today, I mean, you can learn skills autonomously, while addressing a chatbot, and practicing and getting the Gen AI to drive a lot of knowledge in a babysitting way. I mean, take you from the hand and learn new skills. So I believe that's good news, in my opinion, Josie.
I totally agree. I definitely agree that there's a lot of opportunity for us to pick up new skills as we go, even in conversations like this. I think we're all learning a lot. So I know that we've kind of discussed the challenges, and we've heard the word of caution from both of you. So spinning it a little bit on a positive tone now, what advice and recommendations do you have for organizations that are really embarking on this journey? How are they going to leverage the benefits of the cloud? And speaking of kind of the opportunities within cost, what are some effective ways that they can really measure their results and measure their return on investments for these strategies? Martine, we'll start with you this time.
Okay, so measuring results, I mean, the obvious remains from my perspective, right? I mean, if you're running a business, having a clear ROI is never going to go away, right? I mean, unless you are working pro bono, you need to understand how your return of investment will work around certain activities. So I believe that is obvious. I mean, measuring operational effectiveness or time to market type of KPIs are also strategic and remain there. But I want to make a point about not leaving the qualitative type of measurements, right? And I want to quote Thomas Domke, the CEO of GitHub, was visiting us in Argentina a couple of months ago, and he mentioned that one of the best things that you get out of the use of GitHub Copilot is developers' happiness, right? And I was like trying to really grasp this concept, which is sometimes you improve certain things that are hard to measure, right? I mean, and perhaps by introducing a certain solution, I might be able to improve the ROI. I might be able to get a product into the market faster, while people will hate what they're doing, right? I mean, and leave the company, and my attrition will skyrocket. So measuring things that are also improving the quality on how we do things, right? I mean, if I can put Copilot and give 5 hours, 6 hours back to my collaborators, so they can either reinvest that time into things that are measurable to the business or not, right? I mean, improve the quality of the AR within a company. I believe that needs to be measured as well, because that is part of the return of that investment, right? And really think that everyone should consider that while measuring how we get back after we invest in something.
Okay, so building on top of what Martin was saying, I think that the word that I like to use for how the AI is going to be applied is the word pervasive. I mean, every single business process has the potential of being disrupted by AI. So, and we need to assume that all our competitors that are in the same in the same market or in the same industry, they are going to adopt like a baseline level of AI. I like to think like in a, in a very simple way in two different levels, right? What I call the out of the box AI, which you can use when you implement a specific model to solve a business problem, something that you can buy from the market, and you have to assume that all your competitors are going to be at that same level. So this is not something that will allow you to differentiate. It is something that's going to allow you to survive in the market. If you don't do that, you will be in a very worse competitive positions than all of your competitors, because doing that is relatively cheap, relatively easy. So everybody's going to do it. So if you don't do it, you are running from behind, right? And then there's the potential of building differentiated value using AI, and that comes from two things: on how you use your own company information, leveraging your own company data, how much you know your customers, how much you know your processes, how much you know about your industry, and then improving or customizing these standard solutions that they can pre-built for your specific market, for your specific business objectives. And that's when you can build a strong differentiation. Because I believe that in 2 3 years from now, or even before, all the companies who, are going to have a chatbot that is using generative AI. They will be very friendly. They will be able to answer your questions probably at a very similar level as a human assistant. So this is not really going to be the differentiator. But how much you know about your customer, how precise you are giving advice or recommendations, because you know which are the most common problems of your products and which are the best solutions. This is where the differentiation comes. So once again, think about a baseline AI. Like this is going to be out of the box, and almost everyone is going to be using it. So it's a survival matter, and then build value, uh, understanding better your data, and knowing better your business. And regarding data, it's something that I'm sure that Martin is going to agree. More and more, we are including non-structured information, right? So there are different statistics, like 80 or 90% of the information that is generated is non-structured. So we're talking about video, we're talking about voice calls, we're talking about emails and stuff like that. So, and in the past, it was really difficult to analyze this kind of information, or you need people with some specific set of talents. So you need data scientists and people who knows a lot about machine learning and AI. Nowadays, it's much easier to do that. So we need to have a comprehensive strategy to include all these types of informations. But it can be a little bit overwhelming because there are so many things to do, so many type of data, so many business problems to address. So I like to use this idea of crawl, walk, run, right? So create a simple strategy at the beginning while your company starts to include AI in most of the processes, right? Start simple, as we were mentioning with Martin, pointing to the most valuable business process at the beginning, which is going to be where we can show the most impact in the business. But be ambitious in the strategy, right? Start with something simple and valuable, but also be bold, because we cannot, as Martin was saying, build 5 years or 3 year strategy plan. That's very difficult today. But be bold in the roadmap that you build, and then start with something that is valuable and you can do in the short term, and then start building on top of that.
Amazing. No, thank you. And I think kind of going on your point where everything is now we're all baselined at the moment and we need to find our differentiator because AI, the tools and technologies afforded to us kind of put us all at the same playing ground. Putting on our futurist hat a little bit, what are some key trends and emerging technologies that you see are really going to impact us further? Leandro, I think let's continue on your path of the tools.
I I like to think about our AI models like gaining human senses, right? Like we started only reading text or simple things, and we are now moving ahead with this idea of multimodality, where we are including also hearing, like say, like analyzing voice or sound, and then seeing, like analyzing video and images, right? So I think that the power of this could be really transforming, because it will be difficult to incorporate senses like smell or touch. I don't know if we are going to do that at some time, but the idea of having this concept of multimodality, where we can mix and generate conversations or ideas, including all types of information, is extremely powerful, because we can start some of the first use cases that we find for this is when we think about advertising campaigns, right? Where we explain that we want the campaign, and then we generate visual assets related to the products that we want to promote, and in a given environment, or with some specificities regarding how we want to show the product. So this is something that it's very easy to prove value. But imagine, like, there are many other things that we can do with that. I am sure that if you have children in school age, they are extremely smart regarding how to apply all these techniques in order to solve their day-to-day problems in the school, right? So there are many possibilities where we can apply these new technologies.
Awesome. Martine, what does your 8 ball tell you?
Oh, so I always say that it's hard to predict certain things because things are moving in such a um, massive way. But if I should have to list a few, I mean, we come from the on-prem or cloud world. I believe that the rise of edge computing is clear also, right? So there is a midterm that will bridge both worlds, and we really make those reluctant industries that don't want to jump full-blown into the cloud to really consider the advantage of the resources that you can get out in a more shy way, if you want. So constructing on top of what Leandro was saying, I believe that evolution of what we're seeing of AI in general, right? I mean, real-time analytics for AI. I mean, we are still seeing a static picture on what AI can do, right? I mean, we need to train, retrain, but when the analytic capabilities keep on evolving and we are really being able to use AI within real time, will be tremendous impact. In the same line with that, the advancements of the machine learning operations is certainly going to drive a change for the war, for the business, for the governments to operate using AI capabilities to a different level. And in line with something that I really like, which is how the language models evolve from large language models into small language models. I see a clear trend that is going to be related with the use of AI in the world of the devices, right? The IoT, and that's where you will see AI everywhere, right? I mean, we have now models that are able to run in our cell phones, right? And the performance of those models is incredible, right? I mean, and you are cutting the compute requirements 10x, but still getting outrageous performance out of them. So I believe that will keep on happening. I mean, evolving the way we build models, and that we require less computational power to make incredible things, and to have a tremendous AI model within your fridge, right? Within your phone, within all your devices. I mean, and making decisions based on the output that those models create. I believe that's going to be awesome.
That's amazing. No, thank you so much. I mean, I wish we had more time because I could listen to you guys talk for much longer and ask a lot more questions and get your insights. But in the interest of time, I think we unfortunately have to wrap up. So thank you guys so much for your time, and back to you, Pete and Gina.